Hi everyone, I hope you're well. I'm just jumping on here to do a quick video. I'll try and keep it brief on the full moon in Aquarius that's coming up on the 9th of August. Now, that's obviously happening 2 days before Mercury stations direct in the sign of Leo, because yes, Mercury is in retrograde at the moment, if you've not noticed, as well as the other planetary retrogrades we've got going on. The energy is pretty intense, isn't it? Astrologically speaking and otherwise, because whoosh, there's a lot going on. If you know, you know, of course, you know, if it resonates for you, but we got portals opening up, we've got timeline shifting, we have got ascension happening, major awakenings because the lifting of the veil. Oh, there's so much going on. And of course, the full moon is going to stroll into town and just illuminate some other things for us as well, connected to that story, of course. But there we are. So I hope you are doing well. I'm sending you love and blessings. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick video for this, just because it is coming up, and we're in Leo season at the moment. As we know, the sun is shining gloriously through the window at the moment. So the one side of my body is very, very warm. I'm probably going to get a tan on that arm, and that one's going to be pasty white. But there we are. Let's embrace the sun. Let's embrace that energy. Of course, you know, with the full moon, we know that the sun is in opposition to the moon at that point. So there could be a bit of resistance coming in when it comes to our soul courage, and certainly when it comes to detaching from cycles. But I'm going to pull up the chart and let's have a look at what I was drawn to. Okay, bear with me a second. Let's just pull that up for you. In fact, I think the one side of my face is going a bit pink now as well. But there we go. I don't want to shut the light out. Okay. So here we go. Here's the chart. Now, this is happening on the 9th of August, as I mentioned. Many different things out there within technology. And I'm not going to mention the latest tools that are kind of out there for people to use. There's a lot of incorrect stuff out there. However, you know, this is the chart I'm looking at, okay, for the full moon. And I always show you what I'm drawn to in terms of what I'm intuitively drawn to, what I'm guided to show you, okay? So we've got the full moon that's going to be in Aquarius. This is on the 9th of August. And the moon joins Pallas and also Pluto. Okay, so Pluto is currently in retrograde. Pallas is there in retrograde, that's an asteroid, and it's side by side with the moon. Okay, so there is this need here for a bit of strategy, but also the underlying essence of fighting for what we want. Fighting for what we want from a humanitarian perspective, because Aquarius rules the 11th house in astrology. That is about connections with others. And from that wider reaching perspective, it is about humanity. It's about the wider collective. It's also about our new reality, because we can't forget that Aquarius is all about new innovative technology and how we're moving forward, but essentially new innovation when it comes to our reality. Okay, so a lot of major transformation happening there because Pluto is there and it is the age of Aquarius, etc. So Pallas is kind of reminding us on an emotional level with the moon there how we feel about fighting for what we're trying to achieve in our reality, but also how we feel about connecting with others in this way in terms of our path. And with the sun in Leo in direct opposition, I've just mentioned a bit about, you know, that kind of frictional resistance that can be felt in direct opposition, because, you know, Leo is all about courage and is all about that authentic soul expression, shining no matter what, but also needing to show up and be seen. And that's why often the courage is needed. But it's absolute expression of joy as well. And that's, of course, what we want to feel. So this is about understanding that detaching from cycles where we don't necessarily feel they're aligned with our new reality, with that Aquarian energy, detaching from connections with others that are no longer aligned with our new reality, and maybe needing to find the courage to show up as our authentic self and express ourselves by speaking up, with Mercury also retrograde in Leo, in order to pursue our path. Okay, and by doing that, that could automatically allow for connections that are no longer in alignment to fall out of alignment just naturally. Okay, and I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes connections just come to an end and you don't hear from that person anymore, you don't see them, and it's very weird. And there's that recognition and realization that it served a purpose, because everything serves a purpose. I believe that very strongly. Everything, everyone serves a purpose. Every interaction, every experience we have, it all serves a purpose, okay? But not everybody is meant to stay with us for the duration of our path. So as we evolve and we step into this new reality and that which we're trying to create for ourselves in that way, whilst also acknowledging the new world that is happening, okay, we need to align with that, because if we align with our goals, we align with our truth, our spiritual integrity, and we're trusting our intuition more, because that's a previous message I put out there about our inner compass and discernment, and we're pursuing our path forward, then of course we're going to fall out of alignment with people and we're going to meet new people. So connections will end or transform and new connections will begin. But often, in the case of closing out cycles, closing out connections, whatever it might be, that needs to happen first, because we need the space for the new. So we can't hold on to what is no longer serving us for our highest good and expect the new, because there's no energetic space, there's no energetic room for it. So we're being called at the moment, as we have been for quite a while, to release cycles that are no longer serving us. And certainly with this full moon in Aquarius, let's look at again our new path, our new reality. What are we trying to fight for here? Do we need to strategize in that way? How do we feel about this moving forward? Have we got the courage to show up with that Leo energy? Because that's quite dominant energy as well. So is there a bit of resistance with that in terms of us really owning that regal essence of Leo? Are we more in the shadow side of the pride? I keep rhyming today, so I'm really being a poet today. Perspective and collective, and then we've got pride, and what was the other thing I said? Hide. I can't even remember. But anyway, all for your entertainment, obviously. And it's a way for me to just release the frustration of all of this energetic fog and minefield that's been going on. But I jest about it because it's been intense, and we have to recognize this is happening for our highest good, of course. And if it's not resonating with you at all, you've probably already turned this off. If it's resonating for you, you're going to know the major shifts happening because you can feel them. You've experienced them, or you're just about to. Okay, so on this chart you can see I've marked up, there's a triangle, but it's not fully white because I've kept the sextile in the color purple for no particular reason, because usually when I draw a yod, which is a finger of God, and that's made up of a sextile and two quincunxes, I usually do it all in white just so it shows it. But because I haven't marked up a lot on this chart, I've kept it as this, okay? There is another yod, okay, but I haven't marked that one up. And that yod actually involves the midheaven of this chart as an event. But this was the yod that I was drawn to because it's pointing, this finger of God, yod, is pointing towards the south node in Virgo, okay? Detachment from the past. Remember where the north node is, Pisces, the opposite sign. And certainly I talked about this when I did my astrology report on the nodal shift that happened, so that we're now in Pisces, Virgo. But I've mentioned it in other videos as well. So the north node is the direction we're going. The south node is where we've come from. So we use it as a bit of a springboard, okay? It's there, so we can then launch ourselves forward based on the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom that we've acquired in that area. So Virgo, okay, now I've got a lot of Virgo in my chart. So I know the light and shadow aspects of Virgo because I live and breathe it. I'm a Pisces with a lot of Virgo energy, so I'm in constant opposition. Okay, if you look at it like that, and I have to balance the two because it's about reality versus ethereal and trying to balance the two. So the Virgo energy is the realist, is the grounded energy, is the earth energy. Try and keep your feet on the ground. And the Pisces energy is up in the clouds, the dreamer, the ethereal, the creative. Okay. And I would encourage anybody to pursue their dreams because it's certainly more joyous to have dreams than to not have dreams. Okay. There is a borderline with it of drifting into fantasy land. Okay. And that's one of the shadow aspects of Pisces. And that's why the Virgo energy kind of keeps Pisces, you know, on terra firma, because we are navigating a 3D reality. Are we going to be doing that for much longer, though? Yes, we know what the shift is bringing. We know what is happening. Okay, so I won't dive down that rabbit hole for you, but if you know, you know. So the North Node is our path forward. So we're heading more into that kind of ethereal path forward. So that gives it away a bit with what's going on at the moment. Okay, we are being driven by our intuition, our inner compass to guide us forward, the connection with our spirituality. And if you don't consider yourself to be spiritual, that's fine. It's about connection with your soul and the authentic nature of your soul, the integrity you hold within, to know what is right and what is wrong on a soul level, and trusting your intuition to guide you forward. Where we've come from is almost having a perfectionist view of how things should be, whereas Pisces is more about surrendering to the possibilities because of that dreamer aspect. So we might want things to look a certain way, and we're carving out this reality for ourselves. And it might have to be like this, like this, like this. No, no, no. That is not how it's going to be. There needs to be openness to the possibilities of how things might appear to us. So Virgo can be too much of a perfectionist and can be quite, dare I say it, but I think I can because I've got a lot of Virgo in my chart, quite controlling, because Virgo likes to feel in control. Okay, so it's not to control other people. Don't get it twisted with that. This is about wanting to feel in control. And if you don't feel in control, it can be a bit, oh, you know. Whereas Pisces is more like, look, just go with the flow, mate. Just go with the flow. So we're learning, or we're certainly needing to learn, that we've got to trust our intuition more and surrender and be open rather than be quite fixated on how things should be or having to have control about every little thing. We can take the wisdom of Virgo, which is very organized, very kind of planning orientated, if you like. Give a Virgo a schedule, they love it. They love a plan because, again, they like to feel in control. So it's planning things out. That's great to have as a foundation, isn't it? So using that wisdom as a springboard, like I said, to then traverse forward into more of that surrendering and being open. It's like, yeah, I've got, think of it like this. I'm going off on a tangent here, but I feel this is important. It's like having your own little spiritual toolkit that's got this ability to, like this innate ability to plan and to be organized and have that structure, not in the Saturnian intense structure way, but to still have some structure, you know, still have that in terms of planning. And even if things are mapped out initially in a plan, but then understanding that, okay, I can put that little plan in my bag, in my spiritual bag, in my spiritual toolkit. I can carry it with me, but I know that I do need to embrace a bit of uncertainty because I need to go with the flow. But I have got it here if I need to refer to it. It's a bit like that, okay? So we're moving in the direction of that more ethereal 5D. Okay, and you've probably heard this, and this is why I keep saying about the new world we're stepping into, the split of the earth when it comes to the consciousness. Okay, so this aligns with this perfectly, which is why it's so intense, which is why the Schumann resonance has been off the charts, and all these energetic shifts has been happening, a lot of stuff in the astral realm, and you know, just lots. Okay, lots going on. Neptune and Saturn, I'm going to come back to the yod, don't worry. I'm going off on a tangent as per usual, but I'm flowing with it. Okay, I'm flowing with it because I also open up a channel when I do these readings, so I allow spirit to guide me as well. So let's go with the flow here. Neptune and Saturn, at the time of the full moon, you can see they're both 1 degree of Aries. Now, Saturn will be moving back into Pisces on the 1st of September. And then he's going to be in Pisces, retrograding, and then he'll station direct and move forward again. He'll be in Pisces until Valentine's Day next year. So I've made a joke about this because obviously me being a Pisces, he's coming back into my sign. And any other Pisces out there that resonates with this energy, who are awake to it and resonate with it, are going to know that the past few years, well, the past couple of years, it will be a few years by the time he moves out of our sign, but since 7th of March 2023, to be precise, when Saturn moved into Pisces, that time, up until when he recently moved into Aries, that's been intense. Okay, that's been like major lessons, major tests, spiritual tests. And that is for, you know, the wider collective as well. I'm not just saying it because I'm a Pisces. However, there's no getting away from it. Your sun sign, which is your soul essence, if you've got a big hitter like that, serving up lessons in your sun sign, your soul essence, you're going to feel it. And if you don't, well, don't worry, because Neptune's there to help awaken. But I'm interested to know if there's any other Pisces that watch this, that resonate with what I'm saying. Since the 7th of March 2023, particularly, Saturn has been really teaching us, really, really. Okay. And again, the wider collective, he's been saying, whilst he was in Pisces, are you in line with your spiritual truth or not? So he's in Aries at the moment, but retrograding back with Neptune, and Neptune rules Pisces. So when he goes back into Pisces, he's going to be cleaning house. Did you learn that lesson yet? Have we got to go around and do it again? So it's intense. So he's been given, Aries, and I've said this in previous reports, a taster of what is to come when he moves back into Aries next February. And of course, Aries is about sovereignty. It's very dominant energy as well. And Saturn is very dominant. So it can feel quite heavy, but it might actually work in terms of getting us to do stuff. Because it's all about the self, and it's all about what do we want to pursue. And Saturn is going to show us where we maybe need to execute that more. Okay. But also it's a reminder of sovereignty. Are we in our sovereignty? Have we got boundaries in place? Oh, I don't know. Right. Okay, don't worry. I'm Saturn. I'm going to show you. I'm going to test a few of these boundaries out. And this is what happens with the lessons that we experience. Again, it's all for our highest good. So I went off on a tangent there. But again, if it's resonating, you'll understand this. So the two of them working together, and certainly they are at the moment, but this is a freeze frame of the cosmos at the time of the full moon. There is major lifting of the veil here. Major lifting of the veil. If there's something that's been hidden that you've needed to see, you've either seen it or you're going to see it. So this is allowing people to awaken, allowing people to ascend who have already awakened. And it is facilitating this evolution, because also Neptune ruling Pisces is that reminder of our connection to source energy within. So if we look at Neptune in Aries at the moment, of course, when Neptune moved into Aries, that was like a major awakening moment. That's what I mentioned in previous astrology report. That's how it felt to me, that it was like a major awakening moment. It was like, right, I've been in Pisces, getting you ready, connecting with your spiritual truth. Now I'm going to move into Aries. I'm going to go from like the 12th house sign into the first house sign, and I'm going to show it now. It was hidden. Now you're going to see it. Okay. And that's been going on. But discernment is also the key message here. And Saturn will want you to discern because of the lessons. So they're both teaching us in their own ways. Okay, it's very strong energy, very strong energy. And they are in, I think I wrote it down because I didn't mark it up on here. No, I didn't. I thought I did, but I didn't. No, it was something else that I wrote down. It was something I didn't want to forget. And it turns out that I forgot it and I didn't remember something else. But I'm not going to blame Mercury retrograde on that one. That is all user error, Kirsty there. No, I was thinking that it was something to do with the trine, but it's not. That's to do with the North Node. So I'll come on to that in a moment because I've not marked it up on here, basically. But anyway, that's big energy as well as Mercury. I know what I was going to say. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Right. Yeah. Neptune and Saturn, there is, although I've not marked it up, there is a trine that's going to Mercury in retrograde. Okay. So introspection city, like with these retrogrades. So it's like, you're needing to see these things to understand if you've got to find the courage to speak up about something, or perhaps where you've been holding yourself back in your expression because you've not felt courageous enough. So lifting of the veil, it's a trine, it's harmonious aspect. So of course, that's all for our highest good. There is a semi-square to the South Node in Virgo, though, that I mentioned, where the yod is pointing to. So yeah, that minor challenging energy with detachment from the past, because it's closing things out. And maybe we need to say something. Maybe we need to have a conversation to close something out. And perhaps that's going to take courage. So it can feel slightly awkward or challenging energy. That's the point I was getting to. And now I've come back to the yod, which is where I wanted to get to. So we've said about it pointing, it's a finger of God, it's pointing towards the South Node in Virgo. So that's the focus point of it. Okay, detachment from the past, using the toolkit items, to propel ourselves forward with that wisdom, knowing that we've got it, but still being open to surrender with the Piscean way. Okay, and at the base we've got Ceres and the Moon and Pallas in that sextile. Okay, so it's absolutely about the seeds that we're trying to plant for our reality in alignment with what we want. So if we can acknowledge what we want for a start, because maybe we don't know, maybe that's not been revealed to us yet. If it's been hidden and we just don't know, maybe Neptune's going to show us, or perhaps Poseidon's going to show us, the asteroid Poseidon, to reveal it. But it's understanding that what we're trying to plant in a nurturing way, because we want it to grow, we want to nurture it so it grows. Okay, the reality that we're wanting, it's got to be right for us. So with that sovereignty, with that Aries energy of the self, it's focus on the self and what we want. But also at the base is that reminder about our connections with others. Okay, and fighting for what we want with the Pallas energy in terms of the collective, in terms of humanity. So we've got the two things balanced almost. Sextile is actually a harmonious aspect. I mentioned about strategy, and I think that aspect of Pallas ties in well with what I said about the South Node in Virgo, that we can plan, we can strategize about what we want for the future. But this is also about taking action with the Aries energy in Ceres. we might want to plant seeds, but are we actually planting anything, metaphorically speaking? Are we actually taking action in pursuant of our dreams, or pursuance of our dreams? I'm trying to obviously talk quicker than it wants to come out. So yeah, the focus has to be on detaching from the past, leaving the past in the past, but carrying the wisdom forward. So it's closing out cycles that enables us to leave the past in the past and move forward, okay, in that way. So there's a lot of things that could be attributed to that, but we're detaching from cycles, we're focusing on the self and what we want and our new reality and what aligns with it, but we're also focusing on that underpinning element of humanity and the collective, how we feel about this and how we want to connect with others in our new reality. So therefore, what we're willing to fight for in that respect. Okay. The square, sorry, I've drawn this. This is challenging energy. This is going across to those asteroids in Scorpio. So we've got the asteroid Poseidon, Vesta, and Juno. So Poseidon is also trudging things up in that mini Neptunian way, if you like. There's an exact conjunction with Vesta, so that's about our sacred flame. And then Juno is there to remind us about commitment. Can also relate to soul contracts. So take it how it resonates. But there is this challenge when it comes to, okay, thinking about our new reality and focusing on that, what we're willing to fight for. Acknowledging what's coming up for us to see, that can feel challenging. So it could be testing our commitment to that, our commitment to the depth of what's being shown. But because Vesta's in the mix as well, I was particularly drawn to this because Vesta represents the sacred flame energy, and there is a creative aspect here. So of course, what do we want to create? Are we pursuing our sacred flame energy? Are we moving towards what we're trying to create for ourselves to bring us joy? And perhaps asking ourselves that question, if we haven't been, the challenge comes in, and that's where Pallas might be saying, okay, so we've got the memo on what we're trying to fight for here when it comes to our reality and also humanity from the wider perspective. But also now we can strategize about moving forward in the direction of sacred flame energy. So we're still focused on what we're trying to detach from and move in the direction of what we're trying to pursue. So it's the past in the past, and then we're moving towards that sacred flame energy. What sparks that flame within? What inspires us to create? Are we pursuing that? So we need to ask ourselves that question, okay, as part of this bigger picture. Now, I've not marked it up on here, but there is a grand water trine. So there's lots of lines. You're not going to necessarily see it, but there is a grand water trine between Jupiter in Cancer, the North Node in Pisces, and also all of this energy in Scorpio that I was just talking about. The cardinal energy in this trine is Jupiter because it's in Cancer, and that's a cardinal sign. So that starts things off. So this is about absolutely being open, because Jupiter expands, okay, but it's being open to the growth by allowing things to come to the surface and to be committed to seeing that, to understand, are we pursuing our sacred flame? Because ultimately that is guiding us towards our path forward, okay? Our path forward can ebb and flow a bit because it's mutable energy and it's Pisces, it's being open to opportunities. So we've got that double message about being open to opportunities, but that is what enables the growth as well. So we want to expand. So Jupiter, okay, we want to expand. We want to be open to the possibilities, and we want to do it from a place of unconditional love. So we need to understand that to be open to these opportunities that we are deserving of, we need to receive what is coming up to the surface to be seen. And we can then understand what we need to detach from so we can move forward on our path, following our inner compass and being guided in that way, okay, in that ethereal way. My eye is twitching. Okay, random. So I think that was everything I wanted to say, really, with the chart, and that's probably why my eye is twitching. to give me a bit of a sign there, because it has been quite yeah, the energy has been quite intense. And I would say anybody that's been feeling this way, it's you know, make sure that you're resting and make sure that you're keeping hydrated. Absolutely. I will just quickly show you the chart with the UK's chart for some context on the house system. So the full moon is happening there in the 8th house, only just, okay, because there is that 1 degree difference between Pallas and the moon, but Pallas is actually in the 7th house. So when we think of the strategizing, and also what we're trying to fight for when it comes to humanity, well, let's have a look at our relationships with people, places, things. Are they in alignment with the new reality we're trying to create and transform into? Because Pluto's also there in the 7th house. So it's alignment with that as well. And recognizing our connections with others, our relationships with people then are highly linked to this. So it is about closing out cycles with people that are no longer aligned with your path forward for the highest good. Okay. And you know, I suppose, because the other thing that's coming to me is almost like people from the past that you don't have a connection with now, but there might still be some energetic trace. And by that I mean like energetic cord. And it could just be that you need to sort of affirm your intention to just release that energetic cord. You've learned the wisdom that you needed to learn from that connection. You wish that person all the best. You understand the experience, whatever it might be. Obviously, if it was not such a great connection, that's a bit more difficult. But offering forgiveness, as cheesy as that sounds, kind of like liberates you. And I heard this the other day actually, and I found it resonated with me a lot, because it's almost about not necessarily forgiving the other person, although you can. There's more of an acceptance of that person or group of people. But the forgiveness is really for yourself. So even though you're saying, well, I forgive that person for treating me that way, or I forgive that person for X, Y, Z, because I want to free myself from this situation. You know, I don't want to be holding on to this situation anymore. I don't want to carry it forward into my new reality. I've learned the wisdom. I've gained the knowledge from this, so it can be released once and for all for my highest good. So it might be something that you're not even kind of aware of consciously, but subconsciously it's still there, if that makes sense. And there might not be anything, but I'm just saying it in case it does. It resonated with me a lot. Very powerful in that way, just to kind of shift perspective on the situation. But I digressed a bit there. But yeah, absolutely, our relationships with people, as well as places and things, are pivotal to this when it looks at the UK collective, because this is for the UK's natal chart. Obviously, looking at the chart of the full moon against your own natal chart is going to give you a much clearer picture about your specific journey. I'm talking collectively from the UK perspective, and anybody that resonates with it. Okay. But relationships with places, our environments have a lot to do with what we're trying to achieve as well. So it's looking at the bigger picture and how we want to connect with other people, how we want to forge relationships going forward in alignment with our path, and how we might have to pivot, transform, or release those things. Okay, because again, the full moon could illuminate it. If we're already aware of it, it's going to help us releasing that energy. Okay, but it's actually transiting the 8th house for the UK, the full moon. So in opposition is the 2nd house, of course. So, you know, 8th house is about power. And I often see it as very empowering, like with what's going on in the 8th house, it can be a very empowering message. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. So we could feel very empowered in our emotions that, yeah, this is what we want to achieve, but okay, I know I need to detach from X, Y, and Z first, but I feel quite good about, you know, or should I say, sorry, I feel quite empowered about how I'm going to move forward. It can also correspond to passion, like deep passion, Scorpio's house, okay? But it can also relate to external resources, and the second house can relate to internal resources, as well as the second house relating to worth and value. So we might feel empowered on an emotional level, but on a soul level, because that's where the sun is, do we feel worthy of having the courage, Leo energy, to show up, to be seen, to put ourselves forward in terms of what we're trying to achieve? Okay, so it's just looking at that. And the Yod was pointing towards the South Node, which is transiting the third house. So absolutely detaching from anything that is holding us back in our expression, because third house relates to expression. It's Gemini's house. Okay, so we link that with Mercury, and Mercury retrograde is happening in the first house, which is the self. So yeah, are we holding our self-expression back? Have we got to find the courage to speak up? Well, maybe we need to detach from some cycles here that is limiting or inhibiting our expression in that way. Because, of course, our path forward is one of discovery, ninth house, and it's all about discovering and embarking on a quest of connecting deeper with our intuition and being open to the abundance of possibilities that are there for us and opportunities, and knowing that we're worthy of that. But we might need the courage to pursue it. Okay, so there we go. I'll leave it there. And I don't think I'm fully toasted on that side, although it still does feel very warm. I should have maybe drawn the curtain, but you don't really want to close the light out, do you? When you have it, you need to embrace the sunshine. So I'll leave it there. I hope, if this resonates for you, I hope it helps in some way. Of course, with anything, free will is always at play. So even though I'll come on here and I will show a chart and I will mention about the planetary energy, I will often have channeled insights and intuitive insights to provide as well. But everybody has the free will to decide for themselves. So if there's an opportunity to detach from a cycle, and it's something that you're aware of, but you don't want to detach from that cycle, you don't have to detach from that cycle. It's free will. Okay, it's absolutely free will. We are the ones with free will and responsibility to make the choices that are best aligned for us on our journey. Okay, and this goes back to that whole point of discernment. So it's discerning it for you. This is giving awareness of what the planetary energy is doing and how it might be impacting people, because as above, so below. But obviously, to get a more detailed, specific view for your own journey, that would be looking at the chart against your natal chart, because that's going to show what houses are at play, if there's any aspects to any of your natal planets, and so on. Okay, so this is collectively. So it's just important to point that out, really. I do offer moon scopes, which are personalized horoscopes for a full moon and a new moon. I did take my services down a while ago whilst things were just going on. Like, I'm also going through this journey as well. Okay, so there's been a lot, and things are changing, and things have been changing for me. So I need to embrace that. But if anybody is interested in diving deeper, particularly in relation to this full moon, my email address is in the description box. So reach out to me and I can provide you with details of what services I will be offering again. Okay, they're not currently out there advertised, but they will be soon. But in the meantime, please feel free to email me and I'll send you the details. And then if that resonates and you want to do that, we can go ahead and look at that together. Okay, because you might want a more detailed view of what's happening for the full moon in relation to your own journey. Okay, so if it resonates, you'll know. But if this video in itself has helped, I really hope it has helped. And I guess the main takeaway from it, although there's so many, because obviously there's lots going on all the time, and it's not just saying there's a full moon in Aquarius, this means this. this is about looking at the bigger picture of everything else going on. Okay. So I would say it's absolutely about understanding what your path is that you're trying to create for yourself. If that's known, it might still be in the process of being revealed. But if you're aware of it, it's aligning with that and understanding that anything that's not in alignment with it needs to be detached from, or released, or transformed significantly in some way. This could pertain to connections with others, particularly because of the Aquarian energy, and also your role within the collective when we think of the humanitarian aspect as we progress forward into this new world. Okay. So it's understanding if there's still some cycles that need to be released, or any aspects that might be holding you back. Maybe that courage is needed for certain things because of the Leo energy, and what I've mentioned about that already is understanding that this energy is to empower you to find the courage to speak up, to find the courage to be your unique self, because your path, what you want to pursue, is absolutely valid. And it's recognizing that, embracing that, but understanding that throughout the course of our life, we go through experiences, patterns come up, there's trauma from the past, even past lives, okay? Patterns are coming up, and they're coming up for attention. So it can feel overwhelming, and it's just understanding why they're coming up. What is it showing me? So rather than why is this happening? Why is this happening? It's looking at it from a different perspective. What is this telling me? What is this teaching me? How do I need to respond? What do I need to do? Do I need to detach from anything? And looking at it like that. Okay, so just a different perspective on it, I would say. But I'll leave it there. As I say, if you want to get in touch, if you're interested in any sort of readings, particularly moon scopes and natal chart readings, okay, just send me an email in the meantime. And of course, when everything is up and running, and it's out there again fully, of course, I will let people know on the various platforms. But until then, thank you so much for your support already so far. Things are changing, things are shifting, and it's about moving in a direction that is aligned with your soul's truth ultimately. So yeah, I'm sending you love and blessings. I wish you all the best for this upcoming full moon in Aquarius. See you on the next video.